Okay, so I watched The Green Knight, and I made a PowerPoint about it because I had a lot of thoughts and feelings. So I do play around with slide composition a bit on this one, so if it's a little confusing, I'm sorry. Okay, so at the time of me writing this, the night before, I watched The Green Knight for the first time. Yes, I was 3 years late to the party. I had been interested in seeing it, but the stars simply hadn't aligned for me to actually watch it. A friend had seen it and told me I should watch it, which had me thinking about it again. Then I had a night off, was in the mood for a weird movie, and I couldn't think of an anime movie that fit the bill, and so I hadn't seen, and I hadn't seen before. So I decided to give The Green Knight a go, and I loved it. I haven't seen anything else by David Lowery, so I wasn't totally sure what to expect. I knew it would be weird. I had seen some shots of this movie on Twitter and Instagram before, but I really loved it. It did what a lot of my favorite movies do. It made me think. This movie is really rich thematically, and it made me think so much that I'm writing down my thoughts here. Not all movies inspire me to write something out, especially when I don't go into it with the goal of writing something about it. So The Green Knight is a retelling of the Arthurian story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, a 14th century poem that I have not read before. All I know about that era of myth is from The Sword and the Stone and A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. I don't know anything about the original story, so I cannot attest to its strength as an adaptation or where it strays from the source material. I am fairly certain, though, that it makes changes. Apologies in advance. The early sections of this are fairly recap heavy. That is so that I know that everyone's on the same page as me going forward. The basic story of the Green Knight, for those who may need a refresher or who haven't seen it before, it tells the story of Garwin, played by Dev Patel, King Arthur's nephew. Garwin accepts a challenge from a mysterious Green Knight who rides in on Christmas and challenges anyone to hit him with their sword. And then in exactly 1 year, he will return the blow. Garwin, eager to prove himself to his uncle, decides to behead the Green Knight. The Green Knight picks up his own head and then reminds Garwin of his end of the challenge, that he will see him in a year. A year later, Garwin heads out on his quest to hold up his end of the challenge at the request of his uncle. King Arthur says that Garwin can finally become a knight if he completes this challenge. As part of being a knight is having a good story to tell of your adventures. On the path, Garwin encounters 3 different people as well as a fox who both help and harm him on his journey. When he finally makes it to the Green Chapel, where the Green Knight is waiting, Garwin has come to play his part of the game. But when the Green Knight goes to return the blow that Garwin gave him a year before, Garwin flinches and asks him to wait. He then has a vision where he sees his whole life ahead of him, everywhere that he will go and when he will die. He then accepts his death and allows the Green Knight to behead him. One of the strongest themes in this movie is that of death and rebirth. We see a lot of imagery of death in various ways, but mostly beheading. When the Green Knight offers his neck to Garwin, he gives him what he thinks he wants. He cuts off his head, proving his bravery to his uncle and the other knights of the Round Table. But then when he realizes that the Green Knight picked up his head and that the beheading did not kill him, he is shocked and scared, knowing that he will have to have the blow returned to him. We see that his mother is a witch and she summons the Green Knight. It seems like she's trying to push Garwin to go on his own path and find who he is. She believes that the Green Knight will help him get to that point. We see beheading in other places in the movie as well. When we see Winifred the Spirit, she tells Garwin that a lord attempted to rape her, and when she fought back, he cut off her head and threw it in the pond outside her house. She asked Garwin to get his back for her. The use of beheading in this movie as the way to achieve death is interesting to me. There are many ways to kill someone, but none quite so final and irreversible as having your head cut off. You can be stabbed and survive. The movie chose to have beheading as its final and inescapable death. Garwin cannot survive when the blow is returned. He will die. And he is reminded of that through Winifred, and it scares him. The whole movie shows Garwin walking towards his certain death, yet he is scared to die and is fighting it at every opportunity. Garwin's first encounter with people outside the city that he grew up in is with Scavenger, played by Barry Keoghan. Garwin walks through an old battlefield, another death omen, when he sees the Scavenger. The scavenger tricks him into walking into a trap where his horse and many possessions are stolen. When the scavenger and his friends tie up Garwin and take his horse and belongings, we see an image of Garwin as a skeleton. Garwin fears his death at every turn, and when faced with the possibility of his death here, decides to get back up and find his way home. When he finds Winifred, it is another death omen and also a reminder of how permanent and inescapable death by beheading is. Garwin meets a lord and lady who help him after he's injured. Alicia Vikander plays both a prostitute that Garwin has a relationship with at home and also the lady of this house. Because of their similarities, Garwin wants the lady of the house but knows it isn't right. On his last morning there, Alicia Vikander goes to his bed and tells him that she weaved a cloth that has a magic spell in it, preventing the person wearing it from being cut at all. Garwin gets excited about this, thinking that he has a solution to his fear of death. She then jerks him off, and when he comes, he finds he is holding the cloth that she has woven. She tells him that he is no knight at all. This whole adventure is about Garwin finding himself, but also finding honor. He tells the lord of the house that he believes that when he finds the Green Knight in the Green Chapel, he will have honor. He sees it as something that he will have and that he can join his uncle as a knight. So when he is faced with something that he has done that is not honorable, he panics and leaves. In the beginning of that conversation, you know that Alicia Vikander is telling him that he is no knight because he coveted another man's wife. But when you see that he has been clutching the cloth the whole time, you see that she means that he has been clinging to life. He is not ready to face his death, which is something that all knights must be ready to do. I thought that the cum on the symbol of life was a little heavy-handed on the symbolism at first, but then I saw a lot of people making cum rag jokes on Letterboxd, and I was like, okay, maybe people didn't pick up on that one. I have also seen many people talk about how this movie is sexy, which I literally don't understand. Movies can have sex in them and not be sexy. Movies can not have sex in them and be sexy. Just because this movie depicts sex, it is not, and it's not usually positive. When he finally gets to the Green Chapel, has his encounter with the Green Knight, and has a vision of what his future can be, I think I ascended to the ninth realm. The whole segment was so cool and creative. Throughout the whole section, we do not hear anyone say a single word. Everything is conveyed through imagery. In Garwin's future, we see him become a king, but through that process, he has become cold and enjoys his power. He is cold to the prostitute he once loved, choosing duty over love. We see him grow older and the decisions he will make. How he loses his son to war, and that when the time comes, when he finally takes off his cloth, his head will fall anyway. When he sees this in the Green Chapel, Garwin takes off the cloth and finally accepts his death, giving the Green Knight permission to swing his axe. Through this whole challenge, Garwin is expecting to really go on an adventure, something that will be big and bold and will earn him a place by his uncle's side. He thought he could gain honor immediately upon facing the Green Knight. He saw change within as something that happened quickly with immediate result. He fears death, even though he marches toward it every day. He doesn't see this as his death, though. He thinks he will find a way around it, which will earn him honor and title. But when he goes to the Green Knight and asks if this is really all there is to the challenge, the Green Knight says, "What else ought there be?" That was a way of looking at life. We live and we die, and sometimes the journey isn't as bold or long as we think it will be. Life just is. It owes us nothing, and we don't know where it will take us. Most movies that have this kind of larger view of life will usually have a more positive message. Movies like About Time, Soul, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, movies that tell us to appreciate the little things around us. Life is worth living because of every day that you get to spend with the people you love. The Green Knight takes that idea and twists it. Though death is scary, when it comes, face it head on. Life is worth living because death is inescapable. Garwin goes on this journey that I would call coming of age, but the culmination of that process for him is to accept his death, not running and hiding from it, becoming a cold person throughout the process. At the end of all life is death, and this movie's focus on it is deeply interesting. What it means to truly be brave is to face what life throws at us head on, even if that is its end. The other component that this movie looks at in relation to death is the idea of legacy, the lengths that people will go to have a good story. In order to be a knight, you need a good story. Garwin, in pursuit of that story, is faced with two conclusions at the end, and he chooses the path that will not give him the best story. He will not be able to ride home and tell his uncle what he faced and learned. He will never be a true knight. He chooses the option presented to him. He decides to be brave, and instead of clinging to life when it is not his to have, he played the game, and this is the ending. What else ought there be? No journey will guarantee that a person becomes a better version of themselves. No adventure guarantees honor. Garwin certainly learns and grows as a person throughout his journey. He is no longer naive, he sees the consequences of his lust, and he learns that death is coming for him. He will never be ready, even if he has a year or 100 to prepare. He will never be ready for his own death. On his path to prove himself to his uncle, he learns about himself as well. He has his ego stripped away, accepting death as simply what it is. He chooses to not become a knight or king. He finds honor in his circumstances that he has right in front of him. His honor comes from accepting the Green Knight's challenge fully and completely. He gave his word that he will allow the blow returned to him, and he finds honor by allowing that to happen. It was something he made and found for himself. When he takes off the cloth and the Green Knight is happy with his choice to accept what is being presented to him, his approval means a lot to Garwin. In a story littered with so many ideas of rebirth, too, it is left ambiguous if Garwin is even killed or not. We do not see the axe fall. The Green Knight comes back. Winifred is a spirit now. The story takes place on Christmas, a day celebrating the birth of Christ, a figure famous for rising from the dead. Garwin is given a gift of being able to accept his death on his own terms, and we do not know if there is a rebirth for him in the future. I would argue that his rebirth is seeing what his future holds and turning away from it. He does not become the man he is fated to be. He instead is far braver than that person and sees his death through. Garwin is the creator of his own destiny by taking his death into his own hands. There was no fate for him for how his journey would go. He has made many mistakes and learned the lessons that he was going to learn. Live or die, the choice is his. Garwin has much he wants to accomplish. He does not see his life as over when he starts on this path. He has come to terms with the fact that his life will not be enough. It will not be what he wants it to be. He could continue to play the game. By accepting that his life will never be enough, he chooses what he thinks is right. It is up to the audience to decide if we think that he made the right choice or how set in stone fate really is. But when the time comes, Garwin does what he doesn't want to do, but he makes the right choice. In life and adulthood, we have to come to terms with that life may not give us everything that we want. Life is full of boredom and stress and not getting what we want. And at some point, you have to accept it for what it is. You could try to change it or shape it to be what you want to the best of your ability, but that only gets you so far. Doing the right thing is almost never easy, and we try to make it as bearable as possible. Honor is not something we find overnight. It is found through the mundane. It is found through the mundane, boring, and unknown. But when the axe falls, do not flinch or run away. Take it head on. It will come either way. One thing I haven't mentioned about this movie so far is how beautiful it is. You have been able to see that through the images that I have put, but it felt like a disservice if I don't draw specific attention to it. I'm a big fan of the use of color in shots because I feel like when you have a really good, compelling use of color, it really enhances everything. Maybe that's why I'm so morally against black and white as a stylistic choice in modern movies. Why would you take away something so beautiful from your movie? I digress. It is clear that how colors were used in this movie was something that David Lowery took seriously. Alicia Vikander has a whole monologue about the color green. This movie is called The Green Knight, and he really draws the audience's attention to green, what it could mean and what it represents. Is green rot or life? Is the fact that it can be both significant? What is life without death? It ties this all back together. This PowerPoint clearly isn't very long. It's one of my shortest. I found this movie, Attitude Towards Death, something that I hadn't seen before, and I wanted to express how I felt about it and offer a bit of my own analysis. I honestly felt like this movie expressed a lot of its own ideas really well, so I don't always have something to contribute. I can be brief when the subject matter calls for it, shockingly. I know. I did really enjoy this movie a lot, and I feel like I will have more ideas when I have subsequent viewings. Who knows? Maybe I will add to this as the years go on. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you for listening.